All right, so once again, taxonomy is the science of classification. The system that we use today in biology was formulated mostly by a guy named Carolus Linnaeus, a Swedish botanist in the 1750s. And he called this, part of his system was binomial nomenclature, where he gave everything a two-part name. And that two-part name today we call the scientific name. It's universal. It's based mostly on what language? Latin. There's also some Greek in there. It's mostly Latin. And the first part of that scientific name is always the genus name. It's capitalized. It's followed up by the species name written in lowercase. And again, it should be either underlined or put in italics. The system was originally based on the structure, what things look like. But today, it's not based on that anymore. Why are things grouped the way they're grouped today? It's based on DNA and evolution. It's called phylogenetics. How are things related? Through their DNA structure, through their evolutionary history. Another idea that we talked a little bit about the other day was what we call the biological species concept. Really, the hardest group to determine where something ought to go is the species group. Because sometimes you have two things that might look a lot alike, but they can't do what? Exactly. It comes down to baby making. The biological species concept is essentially two things are the same species if they can make babies with each other and if what? Biological species concept, if two things can reproduce and if their babies are also what? Able to reproduce. The babies have to be fertile. That's the reason that a mule and a horse and a donkey are considered to be what?
Mules.
They're different species. Horses and donkeys are. Even though they look a lot alike, even though they can have babies together, their babies are mules, right? And what do we know about mules? Well, they are strong, but they're also sterile. Mules can't have mules. Mules are not a species because they can't make themselves. Yeah. As long as they breed with another donkey. Yes.
So are mules considered as extinct animals?
They're not extinct. There's plenty of mules. It's just it's a man. I won't say man. They're not really man-made, but they're just when a donkey and a horse get together. Anyway, not gonna go there. Let's keep going here. Just a minute. All right. The other thing that we want to talk about, and we'll get some questions here in a minute. These are the different groups we have in our classification system now today. And these groups are called taxa. These are the names for the different groups. Now the biggest one, what we might call the most inclusive group, is the domain. And the smallest group is species. It's the least inclusive. This is a classification of a panther. But if you look, the domain is eukarya. All things with eukaryotic cells belong to that group. That's animals. What else would be eukaryotes? Plants, fungi, and even little protists, but not bacteria. Right? Kingdom, animals. All the animals belong to the animal kingdom. Animals are things that have many cells. They're multicellular. And they tend to be heterotrophs, which means they have to what? What does it mean to be a heterotroph? You have to do what? You have to eat. All right, and usually, at least at some point in time in their lives, animals can move. They're capable of movement. And their cells lack what? That some other cells have. What animal cells lack that some other cells have? Walls. No walls. That's kind of what makes an animal be an animal. And then the phylum for the panther in this case is Chordata. That phylum includes only animals with what? With a backbone. This is the vertebrates. And then the class for the panther is the mammal class, Mammalia. That includes only vertebrate animals that do what? That breastfeed and that have fur and that are warm-blooded. And there's some other characteristics of mammals that make them be mammals. the order, Carnivora, includes only mammalian vertebrate animals that are eukaryotes that eat meat. And then, I don't know that there is an opposite. There's lots of other orders. Yeah, I don't think there's an order of herbivora. The family's Felidae, which are all the animals that are sort of what? Cat-like. Then you got genus Panthera. And then finally, the actual species name, Panthera pardus, for this particular cat.
Is that a panther?
Some kind of panther. Maybe even a leopard, I'm not sure. Maybe a leopard. But point being, this Panthera pardus, that's the scientific name. Genus name, followed by species name. Genus name capitalized, species name not, and it's italicized. Not a cheetah.
Sure. Cheetahs are smaller.
Cut, please. Go back to what? Yeah. Let's think about us for a second and make sure we know how to classify ourselves. First two groups we share with this panther, right? We're eukaryotes. We're animals. We're vertebrates. We're mammals. So all those groups are the same for us. Where we become different is right here. Now, some of us eat more meat than we do anything else, but we're not carnivora. We're in an order called primate, or primatata. And these are all the monkey-like things, right? Have opposable thumbs, well-developed brains, three-dimensional vision.
The panther's not three-dimensional.
Maybe, but not all those other things. So here's the thing. That's our order. Our family, if we go down to our family is a group called the hominids or hominidae. These are things that can generally walk upright, like we do. So it'd be humans, essentially maybe some chimps, a lot of extinct things, like different kinds of Neanderthals. Slow down. They're like, some people want to say a bear ought to be in this group. You can't be in this group unless you were in this group, and 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 this group. Bears are not primates, so therefore bears are not hominids. To be a hominid, you have to be in all the groups above it as well. And remember, today the system's not really based on can they walk upright. It's really based on what? Is their DNA similar? Okay, it's about DNA and evolution. Originally, maybe it was that they could walk upright, but today it's more about how similar are their genes, how similar is their DNA.
No.
Our genus is Homo, which in this context means man, and our species is Sapiens, which means wise. Some of us that doesn't necessarily apply to, but Homo sapiens is our scientific name. Genus followed by species. All right, what we're going to do here in just a second is we're going to use a dichotomous key. We talked about those the last couple of days, and we didn't get to do the lab. We'll do it today. Remember, a dichotomous key is a chart, essentially, almost like a little flow chart, that will let you take several things that you don't know what they are and figure out what they are. It's a way to classify things, essentially, to figure out where they fit in the classification scheme. The key thing to using a dichotomous key, you take the organism that you're trying to figure out what it is, and you always start at step one, and then just follow the direction. And eventually, you're going to get to a dead end. And at the end of that dead end, it tells you, hey, this is the name of the thing you're looking for. We're going to do that with a shark today. We'll see how that works out. But before we head to the lab, I'm going to stop video.